Alright everybody, welcome back for another one. And I wanted to start this video off with probably the most important news that's taken place over the past 24 hours, and that is that Coinbase is going to IPO. And for those of you that don't know, what that means is they filed with the SEC to go ahead and proceed to sell some of their shares publicly. So Coinbase will probably become the first publicly traded cryptocurrency company or exchange for that matter. Obviously, I've shown you there are some Bitcoin mining companies and so on, but Coinbase will be the first one that has came to fruition out of this crypto growth to IPO. So I think that Ripple will be next to follow, and I'm going to talk about that a little more in detail after this. But first and foremost, this company, Messari, values Coinbase at $28 billion following the IPO filing. Following cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase filing a draft registration for a public offering in the US and the SEC Commission yesterday, research company Messari has valued the company at $28 billion. Messari's model examined the company's various business segments, such as trading, custody, and debit cards, to come to this figure. So I wanted to talk about this because $28 billion is massive in valuation. Last time Coinbase was assessed for a valuation, it was only $8 billion in October of 2018. So a lot has changed for Coinbase as a platform since then. So I don't think $28 billion is far off. So one thing I wanted to visit here with you guys real quick is, okay, so what would this mean? Well, $28 billion, if it proceeds at this level of valuation, will be the highest IPO in history, the largest IPO in history. So as of right now, the largest one is Alibaba, China, valued at $25 billion, and so on. 19 billion for this agricultural bank of China. Going down the list, more Chinese company, General Motors, 20 billion in 2010. What else you got? Visa, 18 billion. Facebook, 16 billion. They get the point. This would make Coinbase the largest IPO in history. I think an Alibaba subsidiary had a valuation of like 200 billion they were seeking, but I think China blocked that, something like that. It was about to happen a few months ago, actually. But anyway, this would make Coinbase the most valuable IPO in history, and I do not doubt this for a second. I believe that it will achieve something around this valuation. I mean, the way the crypto market is going, it only makes sense. So we'll see what happens. But if it IPOs at 28 billion, guess what that's going to do? That's going to set basically the industry standard, right, for large crypto companies. Ripple, I believe, will receive an even higher valuation than 28 billion. So see how this all unfolds. Another interesting part of this article, though, I wanted to point out is it says, meanwhile, unconfirmed report claims that Tika Tiwari's Palm Beach Resort Group has predicted a future valuation of $242 billion for DeFi platform Synthetix. This has nothing to do with Coinbase IPO, so I have no idea why they snuck this in this article, but it's interesting nonetheless, because right now, 242 billion for Synthetix. This is just basically a new DeFi platform that came out on Ethereum. But if it achieved 242 billion in valuation, right now Synthetix is only at 678 million. So that is massive growth. I believe they say in the article would put it at around close to 2,200 per token and 41,000% gain. So see how this all unfolds, like I said, but getting very interesting. All right, and if you guys want to research this a little more in detail, come over to CoinMarketCap. Synthetix is a platform for basically offering derivatives of other cryptocurrencies, allowing, you can, as you can see here, right, you can trade fiat, crypto, commodities, and inverse indexes. So if the S&P is going up, you can make, or sorry, if the S&P is going down, you can still make money. That's what an inverse index is. If the S&P is crashing and you buy the inverse index, then you profit. Right? Anyway, moving on. For those of you that have interest in this Synthetix as well, it's on Coinbase, so it's available to buy in the US right there on Coinbase. And as I said, I thought that Coinbase IPOing will have Ripple follow suit. And Brad Garlinghouse basically confirmed that yesterday with his tweet as well. Coinbase saying, we have confidentially submitted our draft registration Form S1 with the SEC. And Brad Garlinghouse says, the first, but certainly not the last. Big congrats to the Coinbase team on this milestone in their growth. So Brad basically said, we're coming up, right? But just wanted to make mention, this was already on the table in July, right? So this article, Coinbase exploring stock market listing according to a Reuters report. I talked about this in a previous video around the time in July. So it's not like this caught us off guard, right? Everyone was expecting Coinbase to IPO. Everyone's expecting Ripple to IPO as well. And all this is going to do is push the crypto sphere into oblivion as a whole, right? And if Coinbase gets 28 billion in their IPO, who knows what Ripple can get, all right? Because right now, Ripple has about 55 billion XRP tucked away in their escrow, and at 57 cents, that puts their XRP holdings, only their XRP holdings, worth $31 billion. So my guess is an IPO would have to be a lot higher than 28 billion for Ripple to even want to publicly sell their stock, because if they have 31 billion in only XRP assets, they have plenty of other assets as well, and investments and so on. So who knows how high that Ripple valuation can go. But I think we're about to see the world of finance completely turned upside down. All right, everything that people knew for finance is about to get blown out of the water with crypto. And just to put this into more perspective, right? I've shown this chart before, but back in 1999, before all the inflation that's taken place, before all the money printing, specifically this year, right? So far, the Fed has printed, I believe, about 20% of all dollars that have ever been printed have been printed in 2020. So the real inflation there for this year is 20%. But people want to say, or the Fed wants to say, oh, we're shooting for 2%. We're not quite on target. We're going to need to print more. I mean, are you, come on, are you really buying that story at this point? Man. All right, don't want to get off topic there, but no, they printed 20% more dollars. The definition of inflation is the circulating supply increasing. All right, so the real inflation is at least 20%. All right, my point there is back in 1999, Microsoft, Cisco, Walmart, NTT, Nokia, what is that, General Electric, Exxon, so on. You get it, right? All these companies who hadn't quite really built much yet, right? Microsoft was just starting to get their PCs out into people's homes. They were clunky. You had dial-up internet. You had floppy storage disks. Not really much actual value there. It's just future expectations. And they were able to achieve a valuation of $583 billion in the publicly traded market. So I have no doubt in my mind that companies like Coinbase or Ripple, if they trade publicly, they could get up in the trillions. Would not be surprised at all. Right? You got Amazon and Apple up there, multi-trillion to 3 trillion in valuation. So if Microsoft can do 583 billion off of speculation in the 90s, then no doubt in my mind these crypto companies and these digital asset holdings as well can do trillions. And that's what we're already seeing, right? Bitcoin already at 423 billion. It's going to crush past a trillion. It's definitely going to be valued higher than a trillion. So expect these others to follow suit. Ethereum and XRP right behind Bitcoin, right? It's coming. Just gotta, look at history, right? We've seen before. You didn't think back then probably that people were going to see Microsoft as high as 583 billion. They were probably like, wow, this company hasn't even been out that long, and look at it. It's achieving these ridiculous valuations. But that's people pricing in what they expected in the future. Lo and behold, what happened in the big tech era. Microsoft becomes number one, right? This was 2019. These numbers are inflated way higher than that now, but you get the picture. People were speculating Microsoft was going to be kind of like on a global takeover type level, and there they are. So, all right. A couple more interesting articles I wanted to point out. Nothing really much to say here except Yahoo Finance, right? Traditional finance now is saying Bitcoin price will hit 500,000 because it beats gold. Hedge fund chief. Right? Point being, it was hard for crypto to get coverage back in the day. Anything other than negative coverage. And now you got Yahoo Finance blasting on their website that Bitcoin's going to hit $500,000. All right, so they are bringing out the full-on marketing plan for crypto. Full-fledged, right? So take a look at those little baby mining stocks because those things still got room to grow, right? Riot and Marathon. Another one. So global stablecoins could eventually become reserve currencies. An IMF paper. Right, so this article goes on to talk about how an article or a document written by the IMF declares that private stablecoins, such as Libra, right? Can't say the other ones, but Libra could emerge as international reserve currencies. Well, I wanted to talk about this. I went on to read the report to see if it's actually mentioned, because sometimes these CoinDesk writers like to twist the narrative to something that sounds good for them. But anyway, they barely mention Libra. They do say how global stablecoins could be backed by multiple fiat baskets, kind of like an SDR and so on. But they only talk about Libra. But the first thing I thought of when I saw this, global stablecoins becoming reserve currencies. All right, well, XRP and XLM, Ripple, Stellar, have both been mentioned multiple times by banks and so on as being stablecoins, global stablecoins. So found this very interesting. They don't want to say the name. They're not going to say the name. But I think Ripple and Stellar are designed to be a somewhat stable coin in the future that will need massively restructured valuation, basically. So we'll see what happens, but it's not out in space. All right, this is not tinfoil hatty, because as I've shown you here, who meets with the IMF? Well, Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, meets with the IMF. As you can see here, Director of Monetary Markets, IMF, all these big name guys, right? Chief Executive of Hong Kong Monetary Authority, Chairman, Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority. And then if you zoom out, well, you also have Christine Lagarde sitting there. At the time, she was the chairman of the IMF. Then you got Thomas Jordan, chairman, Swiss National Bank. And then this long Russian name that I can't pronounce, head of Central Bank of Russia. So all these central bankers sitting in the room with the IMF. And then you got little Silicon Valley startup CEO Brad Garlinghouse there. Why? Right? Maybe because they are building the global stablecoin that will become a reserve currency. And they are working with the IMF to do so. Right? It is speculation, but who else gets in this room? Why? They're there for a reason. Don't know what else to tell you. All right. Hope that was interesting. As always, please like and subscribe, share with your friends and family, and stay tuned for the next one. Thanks.
What is a cashless society? What does it actually mean in a literal or high-level sense?
Money will become like these, relics of a different age, and will only be found in places like this. In other words, hard cash will disappear. It will become electronic, transferred by things like these.
Then Tracy is in Beijing to show us what a nearly cashless society actually looks like. Ben, good morning.
Mobile payment transactions in China reached a cumulative total of 277.4 trillion RMB in 2018, ranking #1 in the world, according to the recently released statistical report on internet development in China. As of June 2019, online payment users in the country reached 633 million. The cashless society is now approaching.
When's the last time you paid with cash? Well, chances are cash has taken a backseat to the plastic in your wallet and smartphone pay apps.
Denver 7's Ryan Luby explains the digital pay revolution and why not everyone is on board.
The cashless society, the cashless society.
The cashless society.
The cashless society is now approaching.
The cashless society.